at me, I'm what you see. But can you tell the price in heat? I can tell you what I need, but 20 quid will buy a bottle of tea.
Welcome to the 21st episode of Chronic Nirvana, and honestly this is the first episode we're doing in Toronto, Canada. I'm so excited to bring our first guest on board, Fatima Mechtab. What's up happening?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Fatima.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much. First of all, for allowing us to do this podcast here. So you know what, before we reveal to our wonderful audience where we are, Fatima, what is it that you do and why is this location so special?
Okay, so my name is Fatima Mechtab, and I am the marketing director, one of the shareholders, PR rep, and one of the marketing directors of Toronto's premier sex club, Oasis Aqualounge, and this is where we're here tonight.
You know, right off the bat, you know, to those who aren't used to this particular concept, what is a sex lounge?
So Oasis Aqualounge is a water-themed, clothing-optional, on-premise lounge, or adult playground, as some people say, for people that are 19 plus. So basically, we provide a premise where people can explore their fantasies, their desires, they can connect intimately with their partners, they can explore activities that can spice up their relationship, they can meet other people who are like-minded. Maybe they're in similar communities, maybe they're in the fetish community, the polyamory community, maybe they're swingers. So it's a hub for people that are pleasure positive, that want to explore intimacy and sexuality.
Awesome. So we've touched so many points over there, right? Because I'm pretty sure so many people that are, at least that are watching this podcast or even listening to it, are still exploring just certain facets of what we've just talked about in the past couple of minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, just to start from the beginning, you know, this place as an outlet for couples, now we mentioned polyamory and whatnot. So ideally, what would a couple find by coming here?
So it sounds like your audience is curious about why would a couple come here. So
sure.
Let's talk about, first of all, the heterosexual couples or the monogamous couples, okay? So couples can be monogamous and not necessarily heterosexual, but let's talk about
of course, yeah. We're talking about monogamous relationships in the most stereotypical way, right?
Okay,
like,
most
traditional, stereotypical, simple way, like, you know, just so that everyone can understand.
Okay, fantastic. Easier. Yes. So your average, monogamous couple can come here because maybe they want to just spice things up in the bedroom. Maybe between, work, family life, maybe they have kids, maybe they can't get as wild as they want to get in the bedroom because, noises and maybe people running around. Maybe they don't have a lot of time in the week to connect. Maybe they're going through a rut in their relationship where they're just not making the time to connect intimately, and that's so important within a relationship. So first and foremost, any couple can come here. You can absolutely be monogamous. And I definitely want to stress right off the bat that there is no pressure to do anything at Oasis Aqualounge that you don't want to do. People are not expected to play with other people here. Nobody's expected to do anything here. What we do is we provide an environment where that is possible, and we encourage that. But we have so many facilities at Oasis Aqualounge. We have our outdoor heated pool that's heated year-round. We have our hot tub. We have a dry sauna. We do events 6 days a week. We have lots of fantastic facilities where people can enjoy the environment. We're also clothing optional. So maybe you are somebody who is a nudist, right? Maybe you enjoy the freedom of not having to wear clothes. So there's lots of things for people to explore here, aside from the fact of playing with other people or having sex in front of other people. So maybe a couple is curious to see what it's like to watch other people have sex. Maybe they come in the door and they don't even want to do anything. Maybe they never take off their clothes, and that's okay. But they can fulfill that titillating fantasy where they can at least just watch sex happen in front of them, and maybe they've never seen that before. Perhaps they are interested in exhibitionism. So we welcome all of these different identities. I would stay away from the term naturist because naturists and also nudists, I mean, I know I said that term, but they tend not to want to associate with sex positive spaces because they're very big on maintaining the fact that when you are naked, it doesn't necessarily have to be inherently sexual, which is true. So I think it probably comes down to the fact that, sexuality isn't really celebrated in mainstream society. It is something that is very hidden, or it's also something that's very superficial. So I don't think that, sex is seen as normal and as healthy as it should be. Because like you said, people make out at parties all the time. People make out at the bus. They make out on the subway. So to take it a step further and actually have sex, consensual sex, with a bunch of people around you that are also having consensual sex, I mean, I don't really see that strange, but I do see it as niche, and it's definitely a different kind of subculture. I think people should look inside themselves and ask themselves why they think it's weird, because I think we all probably have a different answer to that.
Fair enough. I think it's better to sort of accept something and then ask questions as to why you think it's good, as opposed to just finding reasons for it to be bad and then rationalizing why that should be bad. You get what I'm saying? As opposed to back in, I'm talking about, I think in the BCs, I could be wrong, but there was a time where the Greek didn't acknowledge sexuality. You could fuck whoever you wanted. It didn't matter, like it wasn't looked down upon if you wanted to fuck a dude, or And I've read a lot of different things, right? I've read stories where couples at one point, because that sex gets a little stagnating after a while, feel the need to go out and experiment and do some of these things. So they take advantage of venues like this where they can sort of do that in a more guided and more respectful way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I want to come back to, what is it about this place? What is it about these activities and say the guided way that Oasis shows people, in the sense that you guys have, you talked about having events, you talked about having these awareness sessions where people could come here, not just enjoy themselves sexually, but they could also educate themselves and kind of feel that sense of safety that like, hey, you know what, I'm going to be there, and being naked is kind of exposing of your vulnerabilities as well.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not just, I'll go out there and be naked in front of people. It's about, oh shit, what are people going to think?
Yeah.
And, as a dude, like my biggest thing is, oh my God, what if there's a dude who's like hung way bigger than me, and then like a girl comes with me and then sees my dick compared to this, compared to this dude's, and then all of a sudden I'm not interesting anymore. Like, what the fuck? But at the same time, you could also think that what if you go to this club and you're not that bad looking after all? Like, you've kind of feel reasons to actually feel pretty confident that, hey, you know what? People have different bodies, people have different penises. You've got to appreciate what you have. You got to, I'm not saying this body type is good or bad, but I'm saying, somewhere, as shitty as it sounds, when you get to take a look around, you get to kind of, see what you're gifted with and what you have and what others have and what others don't, right? And then you kind of
it normalizes everybody's bodies. That's what it comes down to. I mean, we all have, our bodies are all different from each other. And like pleasure and desire and attraction is like far beyond the size of your genitals, far beyond the shape of your body. Of course, people have things that they're initially attracted to physically. I mean, I think that's very normal, but at the same time, desire and sexuality is so all-encompassing and it goes so far beyond the superficial. But coming into a place like this, with the opportunities to be educated, with the opportunities to see something new or explore a fantasy in whatever way you want, I think can only build confidence within yourself.
Sure.
And can really excite your relationship in as far as, you and your partner have something really cool to talk about. You have this experience that you shared. Maybe you tell other people, maybe you don't. But it's this really interesting, this activity that you did together. And I think when it goes well, it can really bond you. So it's interesting. Like, a lot of people have different kinds of feelings about sex clubs, but I feel like as they become more normalized, and we have these conversations and podcasts like these, it just sheds light on just how like normal and natural it all is. And Oasis Aqualounge are very big on like communication and consent as well. And I think in mainstream culture, like we don't even really have those discussions. I think a lot of it just seems like we just completely gloss over asking for consent. But here it's very important to ask for consent. So just integrating that into your dirty talk, integrating that into, your flirtations can be like super hot. And it's a really different way of looking at sexuality that I don't think a lot of mainstream societies like touch on.
No, they don't. They absolutely don't. Because I was just thinking, right now, like we've got a place where, like, apparently, like, people come here, they fuck. Now, if I'm just walking about over here and I walk into this area, and I find a couple, right? Like, I find a couple, say a guy and a girl, they're chilling, and I'm just like, hey, you guys seem like a vibe. You get to talking.
Yeah.
And then if you're down and you go like, hey, can I join you guys?
Yeah.
You just join them, and is that how it works? Like, you just come and you
Yeah,
talk,
I mean,
and if
you know,
you're
I think a really
in
good
the
way
same vibe.
to kick it off is, especially if you're new to the environment, like Oasis Aqualounge is very social. I mean, there are clubs that are maybe a little bit more anonymous, or maybe there's sort of an unspoken rule that everybody that goes there is all gonna get in the mix. But at Oasis, we have so many different people that visit the venue that you really kind of have to have a conversation with people. You have to be social. You have to chat like you would chat at any other place. But the difference between going to a local bar or a nightclub and talking to people is that it may be a little bit frowned upon to ask that person if they want to go have sex somewhere, but here you can do that, right?
Exactly.
So if you're in a club and you want to buy somebody a drink and you want to take them home, you can't really say, hey, do you want to go over to that booth and have sex? But in Oasis Aqualounge, you can.
Or come down to this room and fuck.
One of the biggest misconceptions about Oasis and sex clubs in general is that when you come in here, you're guaranteed sex, and that's not at all how it goes. Oasis Aqualounge, we don't provide that experience. We provide the venue in which you can find a partner, or you can bring a partner or partners. But you still have to have those conversations to meet people. So one of the biggest things that we always recommend, especially if it's your first time here, don't have any expectations. Just come in, realize you're coming into an open, liberated space, take it in, because it is going to be overwhelming for some people, right? But don't expect or don't assume, because if that doesn't happen, you're going to be disappointed. But again, it really does come down to the guest interactions in order to find play partners or new experiences.
I feel like a lot of people might also be, sort of scared in the sense that, what happens if you see a naked man? Because, like, at least with guys, right? Now I feel like things are a lot better. People are normalizing these conversations.
Yes.
But at least a couple of years earlier, people would be, if I told someone that, hey, I saw this man's dick, the first thing would be, Nikhil, that's gay as fuck, right? And I'm like, I have a penis. What's so? There are urologists, for fuck's sake, who see penises, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's so gay about seeing another man's penis? What's like half of men? I mean, most men jerk off to so much porn, where at least 50% of it is just you seeing the guy's asshole, or like just or the guy's balls slap onto something. And guys, we've all done this. We've all nutted looking at the guy's ass. It's all happened, and and
I have.
justified. Like, but I read this other thing recently where people keep those considerations in mind, where they see penises and they attach anything to do with penises to something that's a lot more gay, I guess. Like, for example, some of them are worried that if they come here and they let another man fuck their wives, they're a beta male. Some people are worried that, or their partners, that if they see their wife getting pleasured by someone else, they're gonna feel like a beta male, where they're never going to be good enough. The other one is also that some men tend to be very closeted, where like they tend to explore these sort of situations, like where with threesomes and other couples and whatnot, and they use those experiences as a segue to sort of test their bi-curious. It's test if they're bi-curious or if they're bi or whatnot, right? Because a lot of guys have concerns like, hey, am I 100% straight? Am I kind of bi? Do I kind of like men? And they're so scared to try that out. They're so scared to do that because they're like, what if I see a man fuck my wife and I like it? Now that's a very scary truth to like comprehend, right? For most people, the egos don't let them comprehend that.
Well, I mean, to that I just have to say, definitely have a conversation with your partner before you come here and discuss boundaries and discuss what you'd like to experience here. And if you're not comfortable, then maybe it's just not for you. So, if you're going to be uncomfortable seeing, other body parts and genitals, then maybe this isn't the right place for you, and maybe you're just not there yet. And that's okay too. So I would only come here if you're comfortable being in an environment where you are going to see naked people and you're going to see sex and lots of it and different kinds of it. So I can't really speak on people's fears and insecurities when it comes to their own sexuality, all I can suggest is that you need to do your research. If you have a partner, discuss what you want to experience with your partner and talk about boundaries and talk about your fears and insecurities with your partner, and then make a decision if you want to come in here or not, right? Because you know what you're going to be walking into.
How do you think, sex with other, how do you think sex with multiple partners has improved people's lives, whether it's the relationship dynamic as a couple or even just their lives personally, like, from a single person's point of view? How is, and from the stories that you've heard and from the people that you've met and from the experiences that you've observed, how do you think it's benefited people? So what are these benefits that people, sort of experience when they come into a culture where sex is so much more open, so much more transparent, right? Like, it's minus the glamour, because the reality of sex is also that, it's not always as nice as it looks in pornos, right? Like, the bodies aren't as perfect, the finishes nearly aren't as perfect, the experiences aren't as nice, and you're going to have conflict and you've got to kind of navigate through that. So
well, I mean, I'm not going to say that everybody that comes here has sex with multiple partners, because sometimes couples do come here and they only want to be with each other, and that's okay too. And some people do want to have sex with multiple partners, and some couples do want to meet other couples. So there really is a wide range of things that happen here, whether it's watching other people, whether it's performing for other people, whether it's having sex with somebody in front of your partner. But I think that it's very subjective to the relationship and to the person. So I think that some people find a lot of liberation in being able to express themselves sexually outside of what's considered a norm. And also, what is normal and why is that important? What does that even mean? But also, some people may experience a type of confidence. Maybe, they've been married for 30 years and they don't, these partners don't look at each other the same way they used to when they first met. And then to come into a place and have somebody admiring you, or maybe somebody's admiring your partner, it kind of sheds a new light. I don't think everybody feels insecure when, for example, say I brought a partner and somebody looks at my partner and sees how attractive they are. I think it's kind of hot. I think it's kind of cool when other people can appreciate your partner and appreciate you. And flirtation is always fun. Some people may feel like it's cheating, and again, that's a comfort level that you really have to talk about within your relationship before you come to a sex club. Because if you are not comfortable with those things happening, again, this may not be the place for you. I would not try to force yourself out of an idea or a concept unless you're really ready to expand your mind. Because if you're trying to force yourself to go somewhere because your partner wants to go, or you're like, what, I should just really get over it, and I should just get over my hang-ups. Unless you're ready to get over your hang-ups, just work on that first. Work on your insecurities before you come here. Of course, everybody's going to come with a new set of eyes and a new perspective, but I would just take it slow and experience the venue, and everybody's going to have an individual experience.
And not to set any sort of expectation that you're absolutely going to get laid.
Yeah.
And the main concern I have here is, how do you maintain security? How do you make sure that people aren't getting touched and whatnot? Because at clubs, that happens very, very often. It happened in front of me at a college bar where I saw someone touch someone else inappropriately. And that's so prevalent in today's culture and clubs.
It really is.
Let alone in a place where everyone's naked. So how do you filter through that, and how do you maintain that safety standard over here?
So, we take a lot of measures to make sure that our guests are safe. So we do have security on most nights here. I think maybe every night, actually. We're open from 1 p.m. to 3 a.m. Tuesday to Sunday. So during the day, in the wintertime, even like the beginning of spring, it is a little quiet, so we may not have security. But once we get busy at night, we always have a security guard. We have a very extensive waiver system that we talk to people when they first come into the club so they understand our rules. Then the hosts who tour our new guests, because our new guests can always have a tour from our hosts, we also go over the rules as well. We have a lot of regulars here who also maintain the culture of consent. So even if, the manager doesn't have like a moment to see what's happening, like a guest will notice and they will
that's good.
Staff. Also, we have a lot of staff moving throughout the building. So Oasis Aqualounge, we're 4 floors. We're a historic mansion that's been converted. So there's a lot of stairs, there's a lot of rooms, but even in that case, we do have a lot of staff always going around. So there's always somebody watching, and we absolutely encourage guests to, if they feel uncomfortable, if somebody touched them without consent, if there's some sort of issue, to go to management and staff immediately so we can address the issue right away. So we have a no-nonsense policy when it comes to breaches of consent, but it is very important for people to communicate consent, and also to understand that consent isn't just saying yes or no right away. It is also active. So if you are engaging in an activity
and you say no, in the middle of it, you have to, make changes appropriately. Fair enough.
Yeah. So even if you are in an activity and all of a sudden you want to change your mind, like, you have the ability to say no. So, and I like to take it a step further and say, consent isn't just about yes or no. Consent is about an emphatic yes, a yes, all the time. It's not maybe. It's not, I'm not sure. It's certainly not no. Yes is yes, consistently.
I really love the way that you put it over there, because the main thing that I really wanted to, kind of just talk about was, again, how safety is, maintained in a place where they sell alcohol, and there's as much alcohol and fewer clothes.
The alcohol thing as well too, because unlike other nightclubs, Oasis Aqualounge, we're pretty strict about cutting people off or like serving alcohol. We do have the right to refuse service if we feel the person looks like they may not be able to consent, looks like they may hurt themselves. Again, we have a lot of stairs here. We do have an outdoor pool. We have a hot tub. We have water facilities. So there's a little bit more risk in a place like this than there is in like a regular nightclub. So unlike other clubs where maybe you do get overserved, we do not do that here. So with the alcohol situation, which absolutely can breach, impede consent.
Absolutely.
We are vigilant about how we serve people.
Right, because that was actually where I was getting done.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's the case, because people tend to kind of go off the roads, and they make different decisions when they're drunk, and you can't always trust it.
We don't encourage heavy drinking, because again, it's not really going to enhance your experience here. People that come here tend not to really drink a lot. It's not the reason that people come here. People come here to explore their sexuality. It makes it very difficult if you're super drunk and you can barely stand. You obviously are not going to be able to function properly, and it doesn't enhance your experience. We're not a dance club. It's not like a crazy, music festival in here or anything like that. So, I mean, people really enjoy the pleasures of, the flesh, as opposed to, getting inebriated. So that's really kind of what our environment is about.
What sort of sexual perspective have you managed to develop over the time that you've spent working over here by being a stakeholder, and from the stories that you've heard from different patrons and whatnot? What sort of sexual perspective do you guys have in common that is, say, different from the others, that sort of represents the culture in your everyday world? What sort of things do you resort to? Because I would definitely wager that that one big thing or one big improvement to people in this lifestyle would probably be communication, which not a lot of people pay as much attention to, because to functionally sort of swing, your communication and your trust has to be the most important foundational layer before you can make that sustainable in a relationship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so I think you're speaking of sort of like the values that I hold.
Yeah, I would say the sexual value system that people, at least who are part of the culture here, who've experienced this long enough. What's like that shared value system?
So I would say, communication is big. It's very, very important to communicate not only what you want, but also what you don't. Also to communicate what maybe turns you on and turns you off. In a way that is respectful, and where you can voice your perspective without, attacking your partner. So that's kind of, that takes some practice to navigate through those conversations. I would also say, just being able to appreciate the human body, right? Like as we were talking about earlier, there are so many different kinds of bodies, and if our scope of vision is only porn or magazines, we're not seeing the human body. So being able to appreciate all the different kinds of bodies that there are. Also being able to appreciate that people at different stages and ages of their lives can still enjoy healthy sexuality. So for example, I mean, our venue is 19 plus. So there are people that are, 19 or 21 or 25 that come here, and they're maybe they're new to exploring sexuality, maybe they're not, but there's also people here that are like, 60 or 70 years old, and maybe this is brand new to them, and they're exploring this. So just seeing the range of sexuality, the range of pleasure, the range of how people are enjoying their bodies and enjoying their partners and their partner's pleasure. So that's really cool. That's an eye-opener. Also breaking down like taboo fantasies. There's a lot of different types of activities that people think are like wrong or gross or terrible,
such
or
as
slutty or something like that. And being able to kind of like create an environment where people can, and especially women, can explore these fantasies in a non-judgmental environment. So for example, bukkake, right? So for those of you who don't know or you don't know, I feel like you do know because you just mentioned you watch a lot of porn.
I know way too much, but if my mom's watching this, Mom, I do not know what a bukkake is.
So bukkake is when like a woman is surrounded by guys and they jerk off on her all together. So it's like...
Okay, it's Canada and it's 2021. Is it specifically women?
We'll talk about women in this case because our bukkake night welcomes women who would like to explore the bukkake fantasy, but it also empowers them. So I prefer to talk about it from a woman's...
of course, yeah, no, I was just messing about,
what else? Orgies, gangbangs, things like that.
To the common viewer and not an expert like me, what's the difference between a gangbang and an orgy? How are we gonna...
Okay, so I would say that a gangbang is when a woman has sex with multiple men at the same time, and then an orgy is when many genders get in the mix and have sex together. So that's how I would differentiate it. But I mean, it really kind of depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's how I would.
So orgies, bukkakes, and to kind of segue into the next part of this podcast, which is actually how Oasis empowers this by providing the right sort of counsel for each of these activities. Because if I'm not mistaken, you guys actually have like a bukkake, apart from the bukkake night, but I think you also have like information sessions. You have like, you have these seminars where you share information, where you get people comfortable with it,
Absolutely.
which we touched on earlier. So how do you go about doing that for, your bukkake night, your gangbang, your orgies, and, your...
Well, I mean, we have different nights that offer different things. So we wouldn't necessarily have an information night about bukkake. Bukkake would be more in line of like, we kick it off with some icebreakers and get people comfortable before like they engage in the activity of their choice. But for example, we do have like a sex school section. Like on a Friday, it welcomes women and couples only. That might be a little bit more informational. So we may pick a topic and we'll have a presenter who's knowledgeable in that topic.
Amazing.
Speak on that particular topic and can further like educate the crowd and also provide, the opportunity for people to ask questions and things like that. So there's a lot of different types of programming that we offer. So not everything is necessarily an info session. It just depends on the activity. But we also do an event called First Taste where it's a night where women and couples are welcome, where, we give a tour. I mean, we always give tours throughout the venue, but, you can get a really concise tour, and we provide sort of information that is specific to like new couples that have never been to a sex club before or Oasis before. And the programming and the information is really geared more towards newbies, but anybody's welcome to join because at any point, we really appreciate if a couple or a regular guest would like to share their experience and provide some insight just as a guest perspective. So the key is really kind of to keep the information fresh all the time, which is like one of the things that I work on. So yeah.
That's awesome. How is a meet cute in porn completely different from a real life meet cute with people who are ready to have sex? Because if you notice...
So what's the term meet cute?
Okay, so for example, in porn, right? Like when people normally see two strangers have sex, it's almost predetermined that these are two strangers who want to have sex, right?
Right.
And I feel like at Oasis, a lot of people come in, as much as we say don't have that expectation, people do come in with it regardless, right? And how does that exactly happen? Like, how is this different from porn? Because the way I see it is that people are coming in with the intent to have sex with each other, maybe not particularly each other, but like sex nonetheless.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I mean, the difference, first of all, is that porn is you hire actors, so they're acting, and it's a script that they follow. So in that script, they read it and they meet a stranger, and then they look at that stranger, and that's the stranger they're meeting, and then they have sex, and the sex is outlined, what positions they're going to do. There's breaks, so they adjust the lighting, maybe they stop, then they continue having sex, maybe they go and use the bathroom, have a snack, come back, continue the sex. So it is absolutely not like real life in any way whatsoever. It is nothing like meeting a stranger at a bar to have sex. So I think it's very important to understand that that is a completely different thing than real life. Porn is a fantasy. So when people come into the venue and they want, maybe they're solo and they want to find, a partner to have sex, most likely a stranger. Communication is key for sure. You need to be able to charm that person. They need to be attracted to you. We can't really outline exactly what that's going to look like because, again, it's so subjective to, the vibes, the energy, the what you're giving off, the attraction. Those are things that we just can't we can't give you a formal script on how to do that.
Absolutely.
It really kind of depends on you, and it depends on the other person. So much of that is left up to chance, which is why it's so important to say not to have expectations. I know people do have expectations, but again, we can't fulfill your expectations. Only you can determine and figure out the right partner for you. What we provide is the venue, so that when you do that, you can stay here and have sex here. We do a feature called The Right Approach, which is the fourth Wednesday of every month, and we try to help people get over how to approach others at a club and illustrate what's best to do and what's best not to do. But again, those are just like brief guidelines. But meeting a stranger at a sex club is absolutely nothing like two people in a porn. They're completely incomparable. So.
But you guys do release your own productions, right? So you're actively involved in the porn space, but I'm assuming you guys try to do it somewhat differently compared to mainstream porn?
So we have a Pornhub channel that we've had for a few years. We did create some content before the pandemic, so that is available on our Pornhub channel currently. We have since, once we reopened in the summer of 2021, we have since created new content, which is not yet up on our Pornhub channel, but we hope to get it up soon. I know that you and I were talking about sort of like the themes in our porn and stuff like that. So we do have some kink, we have some queer porn. We really would like to sort of even out the content so that we have a wide range of themes that attract everybody, and particularly people that are new to Oasis, because we want to make sure that people know that there's lots of different things they can do here. They can explore kink, but they can also just have like vanilla sex too, and that's okay.
If you have to break it down to people, what's vanilla sex?
Just very kind of, your standard missionary kiss, I can't really give you a complete definition of it. Vanilla sex is just kind of more traditional than maybe something that's kinky. Yeah.
I apologize to everyone that I've had very, very normal sex with.
Normal sex is fine, and there's nothing wrong with being vanilla. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing
with
wrong with vanilla sex lasting 5 minutes and.
Yeah, but there's lots of things that you can explore if that's something that you want to. If you want to try something different. So our porn that we have currently maybe is a little bit more varied. And it doesn't include a lot of vanilla content, but we hope to have a bit more on our channel soon. So we just need to release our content.
What's different from in your productions compared to the rest? Like what do you think about doing differently?
Well, I mean,
if you don't want to give out any trade secrets, I understand, because if it's pending, if those videos are about to be released, then that's fine.
No,
but
I can give you a basic idea. I mean, we don't hire actors. We hire, or we don't really hire. We compensate amateurs, right? So we don't really work with a lot of professional porn talent. There are the odd names that we have, but that's not generally what happens. Only if there seems to be an opportunity out of the blue, which will happen if it happens. But generally, it is couples that want to explore having sex on camera, and we provide the space to do that. I mean, I can't really say what we do too differently because I don't work in the porn industry per se, but I would say that, we are working with people that are completely new to this. So what we get is a lot of really authentic content. So, I mean, there is an element of animation and like,
direction and
yeah, and I mean,
for sure.
obviously we do. I mean, our current videographer, who's awesome. His production is called Satin and Gin. Just want to give him a shout out. He's really good at like positioning people and encouraging them and things like that. So there is a bit of stopping and starting, like there would be in any porn production. But I mean, there's less pressure because this is something that the couples want to do. This isn't their job, so it's a lot more. I think it's a little bit more laid back.
And you've got to give them some more time to familiarize themselves with being in front of a camera and being familiar with their expressions, their portrayal, the way they look in front of a camera is completely different.
Yeah,
I think I'm drop dead fucking gorgeous without a camera, but they put me on a camera and I'm a strong 5 on 10. I don't like it. Just kidding.
Yeah,
we don't associate numbers with beauty.
Exactly. So I mean, I think we're not a porn production company. We're a sex club. So our content reflects what happens inside the club, and that's why we make it. And that's kind of our sole purpose. So we want to see people enjoying the venue because that is what you would see when you come into Oasis as a guest. Obviously, we have some very, safe for work content on like YouTube and information videos and things like that. But if you really kind of want to see what Oasis Aqualounge is really like, I would view our newer content that we will upload to our Pornhub channel.
Awesome. Stay tuned on Pornhub, even if it's not available in Dubai. There's ways to get about it. But like, while talking about porn, that's entertainment through a virtual screen, and obviously during the pandemic, every entertainment place took a huge hit. So how did you sort of keep the culture alive? How did you keep things spicy? Because I'm pretty sure all that responsibility must have fallen onto your head as one of the core event producers, right? How did you navigate through it?
So very exciting. So once when the pandemic happened, we started an online platform. So we have what's called the Online Oasis Connections Network. So it is a members-only private server site that you can join, and if you become a monthly subscriber, or you could subscribe for 3 months or 6 months or a year, you have access to this platform. What it is basically, it's an online sex club. So we have members from all over North America. We obviously have members that are members of Oasis Aqualounge, but we were able to expand our reach. We had other clubs that we worked with in the States, and so we provided event content online. Yeah, it's a little different, obviously. Everything online is going to be different than in person, but we were able to maintain the culture, connect our members, connect the community, and keep them engaged until we could reopen again. But we still have our online platform. We're not going to get rid of it. We value our online members as much as we value our in-club guests. And we continue to provide virtual content for them in addition to what we do inside the club now. But the online platform is also a great dating site. So if you're a solo person, or if you're a part of a couple, or whatever your configuration is, you can meet other members. You can video chat with them. You can see who's maybe coming to Oasis Aqualounge if you're in the area and you're able to visit us. So that was the way that we were able to sort of keep our heads above water and also continue to make Oasis Aqualounge relevant.
And how would you sort of describe these virtual events? What would you do to act? I hope I'm not. I don't want you to give out your trade secrets, obviously, but to the best of your ability to sort of maintain discretion and to sort of portray what actually happens. Because it's such a foreign concept to at least a guy like me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd see a virtual event and I'd be like, okay, how is this satiating those feelings that I have? Because obviously when you move things from real to virtual real quick, it takes a huge time period to sort of get adjusted. There is that adjustment period before it even gets fun, right? How often can those things be as fun?
So our platform, unlike other more public sites like Zoom and things like that, we allow sex on camera, we allow nudity, we encourage it. So our events are really a combination of icebreakers where we facilitate conversation and we encourage members to interact with each other. It's not so much about the host. We're not webcam models. We are event hosts that guide conversations and introduce icebreakers. Every so often we have some entertainment online, but really it's to facilitate the members who are attending to talk with each other.
So it's to always build that connection and to maintain that network.
Yes.
Because I feel that is also really important, right? You don't want to always just come to a club to feel a little liberated. Sometimes you might want to just pick up a phone and call a friend and, you know, kind of talk about that particular problem.
It was a really great way to like help ease loneliness, and people met each other. So yeah, it was a really great project, and we're still happy to continue it. I think this is going to be my last question. I'm running out of steam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, no worries. And so just to wrap things up, right, and to kind of get people a little more geared towards the changes in terms of just society and the way people conduct themselves sexually, right? What do you think needs to be the shift in mentality? What sort of mentality should people adapt to sort of become a little more open to these so-called taboo sexual experiences, right? So what are steps that people can take? What are things that people should do maybe at a younger age, you know, communication being a key part of it? But, you know, say outside of that, in terms of education, what would you identify as, you know, maybe the current pain points that still contribute to, you know, group sex or sexual openness being viewed as taboo?
I would definitely do more research. I would question why you feel the way that you feel. If you have negative feelings about certain sex acts of which you have no experience in, I would try to break down your own judgments. Why do you feel that certain bodies are ugly? Why do you feel that only certain bodies are allowed to have sex? Why do you feel that gangbangs are terrible and that women don't like them? Why, like all of these judgments that you may have in your head, why do you think bukkake is gross? Just question why you have these feelings and where they're coming from. Are they coming from an actual belief? Because if you do feel those things are gross, then that's your prerogative. But is this something that you're being told by mainstream society? And why should you believe it? Just question what's going on around you. Also, I think, like, I don't want to get too explicit on the podcast, but I feel like it's really good to explore your own body and explore like what you feel is pleasurable. So some people may feel like masturbation is, you know, taboo or whatever, dirty, whatever they think. But it's a really great way to understand your own body so that when you connect with partners or your partner, like, you know what you enjoy, and that way you can explain that to the other person so that they know how to please you. Because if you don't understand your own body and what gives you pleasure, you're putting a lot of pressure on somebody, especially a new partner, to figure that out. So I definitely recommend learning about your own body first. Make friends with people that are like-minded. You know, maybe you have other friends or other acquaintances that are also as curious as you, and strike up conversations with them. I mean, I understand that not everybody's going to be on the same page, and some people might be a little bit judgmental. So just move away from that judgment and move away from those types of people and connect with people who like think like you. Because there's no right or wrong in this journey. It really is personal and subjective, but you don't have to succumb to ideas that you don't agree with. You know, and if you're curious about something and you're coming from a place of good intentions and consent, then why not?
And, you know, just follow them on Instagram because they have a lot of tips that constantly sort of reinforce some of these habits. So if not just some of these points that, you know, you kind of just have to keep looking at over and over again. Sometimes it could be the same, but hey.
Get rid of your expectations.
In life, that's a healthy tip.
Yeah,
you know,
and being entitled. You know, nobody's entitled to sex.
Nobody wants to have sex with you.
Yeah. You have to want to have sex with yourself. It's yourself first, self-love. No, yeah, I would say like entitlement and expectations are always going to get in the way of your pleasure. So just, you know, come into a situation and just be in the moment and just understand, you know, that you can be in an environment where there's so many things that you can explore, and just be open to what will come towards you, as opposed to assuming that you'll get laid because you showed up. That's really it. Thank you so much.
Before we wrap up, just one last thing. What's the 2022 vision for Oasis Aqualounge? What's the direction, or, you know, what's like a goal that you might want to hit for this year?
We're really excited to be open. So that's the goal, to stay open, first of all, I think. We're looking forward to having to remove our masks so that more people can come. And we're just excited to continue to provide more excellent content. And yeah, very excited for the new year to come.
Awesome. And thank you so much for having me here, Fatima. This was a pleasure. And honestly, this was a pleasure just to bring this content out to you guys. And, you know, I'm so happy I got to do this over here. And you know what? Episode 21, no better way to do it.
Yeah,
I'm really glad.
I wish it was 28. I wish it was 22 because then we could talk about episode 22 and 2022. But.
And hey, but at the same time, if anyone wants to see a part 2 to this, and because right now what we touched was just the tip of the iceberg, because I'm extremely passionate about just making and normalizing sex as a conversation and just discussing its different things, right? Because like we said, just talking about sex doesn't necessarily mean that it's sexual in itself.
Yeah.
Talking about sex just normalizes people talking about things in general, and again, just improving communication, something that a lot of us need to do.
Email info@oasisaqualounge.com. We've got our Aquaflirts Instagram account. We also have Inside Oasis 231 Instagram account. You can find us on Facebook at Oasis Aqualounge and Twitter at Oasis 231 Mutual. It was so wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much again.